Kansas City is one of the top cities to experience the worst effects of climate change. The more extreme these temperatures are, the more that folks are adjusting their temperatures to meet the needs of their families and their homes, the higher their utility bills will continue to be.
We get tested from time to time, and like you brought up, Winter Storm Uri was one of those tests. It was a stress on the total energy infrastructure. Our group looks out 2 to 3 to 4 years, making sure we have enough pipeline capacity and storage to serve our customers. And we kind of plan our system around reaching that peak day. Those very cold days, we were having to go out and buy some gas in the market. Prices were substantially high. Those are passed on to the customer dollar for dollar. There's no markup from Spire, from the utility. It's what we're paying out in the marketplace. Winter Storm Uri kind of spooked the market. This upcoming winter, we're having to deal with those costs that we didn't collect, and then a new higher level set of prices. We knew this kind of perfect storm was out there. We see some headlines out there of like a 40% increase for Spire. Could have been substantially higher if we didn't take steps with our regulators to try to spread those Uri costs out over multiple years.
A residential consumer is spending maybe up to 3.5%. For some low-income consumers, that can be as high as 8, 9, or higher percentage. I've seen numbers as high as 25% or 40%.
Out of the top 48 metropolitan areas in the country, Kansas City is number 7 in terms of energy burdens. Usually lower income individuals and families, they oftentimes live in older buildings and neighborhoods that have been disinvested in. Unfortunately, that is a lot of our Black, Indigenous, and people of color.
For electrical assistance only was $33,292 that we helped families out with. That was 2019. 2020 was more than double. This year, $120,268 electric only households, and almost a 400% increase. And that's just electric. I mean, the rental is huge, the water is huge, everything is up 3 or 4-fold, everything. There is a lot of assistance out there. So the only piece with it right now is that people would have to be on a waiting list. Waiting list, I think the last time I heard, was maybe 1,500 households. That's a lot. There's people that are months and months and months and months behind. $10,000 and $12,000 in arrears. During the moratorium, it wasn't an issue, but now it is.
In the state of Kansas and Missouri, there's a cold weather rule where utilities cannot shut off people's power when the temperature falls below 32 degrees. This doesn't include automatic reconnections. So if it goes above 32 degrees and the utilities disconnect a handful of folks' power and then it drops back down again, they're not reconnecting those folks' power. But then when they lift the shutoff moratorium, then we're faced with an avalanche of shutoffs because they don't put in other protections that would help mitigate this crisis, such as payment plans that are actually achievable.
February of last year, I ended up having my second knee surgery. So I definitely had to pick and choose which bills I could pay, which ones had to wait. So I acquired a pretty huge bill with Evergy. I believe it was almost about to clear $2,000 at that point. COVID was going on, so I was able to get on their COVID payment plan. I had just gone back to work and they decided that they were gonna shut off my lights one day. And that was my biggest concern. Like, hey, I have a kid, like I can't have my lights shut off. I had no notice of like their COVID plan ending. I needed to pay, I believe it was either $700 to be able to get on a payment plan, which that makes no sense. It's a domino effect of things that have happened, your current situation, and things that will happen if it's not rectified.
Is success for an electric utility company that they make the most money? I would say really their success should be monitored off of, were they able to keep the most people's power on? Were they able to provide that power at a low cost? There's the reality of what Evergy's PR puts forward and kind of the image that they've cultivated. And then there's the realities of the other stuff that they're doing, the things that they're saying to their investors, the things that they are putting their money into, the donations that they're making, the political donations. As long as they can keep lining the pockets of the politicians, then it makes all those politicians much less likely to be writing bills that would rein their power in. A lot of these upgrades and switches to renewables, they are willing to make, but they just want to wait until something is passed that will pay them to do it. This is despite the fact that they paid no federal income taxes last year. We have very little power to regulate them on a municipal level.
Cities are starting to understand that as they develop their climate goals and their climate plans, that most of the power lies with the state regulators to actually allow the cities to achieve those goals and do it in a way that's fair for the public and the utilities.
One of the things I do want to mention that we're working on with utilities right now is particularly with Evergy, and that is energy efficiency. That's one really good avenue through weatherization, proposals that benefit low-income ratepayers that we believe is a win-win for both the utility and for the ratepayer. The type of energy efficiency that Evergy is proposing is somewhat novel in Kansas. We're happy to see that it's coming, and we'll have to see how it meets the needs of low-income people over time.
The utilities could play a big role in how we move this forward. We're holding the utilities accountable, but then we have the homeowner, right? And then we have the dweller, the renter, right? That communication is not happening.
The split incentive, which is kind of common wonk language with clean energy experts, where landlords aren't incentivized to upgrade their buildings.
That is a lot of people that don't necessarily have control over the homes that they're living in, whether they're, suitable for the climate that we're living in at this point.
I mean, I have been in homes to where you can feel the breeze with the window shut. I mean, I've seen gaps where the window is.
Energy disclosure means your landlord, if you're a prospective tenant, they would have to give you an estimate of what your utility costs would be to live there. KC Tenants started that conversation when they had an energy disclosure policy in their tenants' Bill of Rights. Unfortunately, by the time those ordinances were passed, it was extremely watered down. It just basically says the landlord's supposed to give the phone numbers of the utilities, and if you have trouble getting that information, they're supposed to assist in that process.
It is a subtle way to encourage landlords to upgrade their buildings and to go to take care of their rentals so that they are energy efficient.
When we say it's important to invest in buildings, it is because these are the homes and places we shop and live and play in for the next 50, 60, 70 years.
Items such as building codes, working with landlords and the like, are other things that we need to do. It takes a village to get this problem solved.